The first one is Taylor Gardner-Hickman. We had an option to buy, which we've taken up now, but he's still officially on loan until the end of the season. That becomes a permanent deal. Probably from the 1st of June, usually, something like that. I'm chuffed to bits with that one.
Same. Absolutely love Taylor Gardner-Hickman.
Yeah.
I think a lot of Blues fans said out of all the loanees we've had, maybe Ben Davies close, but like Taylor Gardner-Hickman's the one to get in, isn't he? He's been absolutely sensational. His energy, his versatility. I mean, he's worth signing just for the amount of positions he can play and makes look comfortable. Absolutely incredible. I mean, the last few games especially that he's worked his absolute socks off. I think he gets the club. You know, he gets that fight, that spirit. You know, the fan base love that kind of stuff at Blues, don't we? And he just gets it. Fantastic signing.
I think most Blues fans would agree with that. So welcome back to BCFC Royal Blue. Now, the January transfer window is a very interesting one for many clubs, and the January window has just recently closed. Birmingham City have done a bit of business, and on the basis of what we did in the summer, it was clear that we weren't going to have massive overhaul in January, but we have done some business, and I think ultimately the question will be, are we a stronger club now after the January transfer window? And that's what we're going to discuss really in this podcast. We're going to look at some of the players that have gone out, either been sold or gone out on loan, and also look at the players that we've bought in and just give our general thoughts on those players and whether or not we, at the end of it, whether we think that we're stronger now than when or before the January window opened. So, Matt, I think we've obviously done a bit of business and probably start with the players that have gone out first.
Yeah, go for
it. That's
okay,
and then maybe just talk about the players that we brought in. So, few players have gone out. Obviously, an early one was Dion, wasn't it? Dion Sanderson. He went out on loan, didn't he, to Blackburn?
He did, yeah. And first of all, Dad, I think January was always going to look quiet in comparison to the summer we had, didn't it? I mean, how many signings did we have over the summer? That was complete overhaul of the squad, weren't it?
Yeah.
And on the last day, we got Awata through the gate and Stansfield through the gate. I mean,
we had 17 players, didn't that came in. It was a massive. We were in and we couldn't keep up, could we? With the podcast.
I was literally texting you, man. Dad, we've signed another one. Get down to the studio quickly. It was bonkers.
Yeah,
but it was good fun as well. I look back on that fondly. It was a good time. But I mean, yeah, that was crazy. So when you look at January, it's always going to look a little bit underwhelming when you compare it to the summer transfer.
I think it's a reaction, Matt, isn't it? So I think when players, when teams look at their squad in January, are you going to be threatened with relegation? Have you got a chance for challenging for the playoffs? Can you challenge for automatics? And that will just determine what you actually do. Yeah. So,
and if you think about it logically, Dad, we're a League One team. We're getting ready for the Championship, hopefully by the end of this season. We have a great squad. Yeah. I don't think we needed strengthening in massive amounts of areas, to be honest, for this season. I think we've got a really, really good squad. I think more for me, I think with the injuries stacking up at certain points during the season, I think we've done good business, especially in just to have a bit more cover in those vulnerable areas. Yeah. And even with the outside, I think we've made some good decisions. So coming back to your original Dion Sanderson, I mean, I cannot believe our backup centre half has gone up a division. I mean, does that not scream the quality that we have in the defence, Dad? And we've said it a lot on this podcast now, but since we made those changes at Exeter pre-Christmas, we've solid defence. I can't remember the amount of goals we conceded, but it's so good, our defensive record. It's absolutely outstanding.
In the league, it's about, is it 4 goals in the last 12 or 13? It's something,
It's crazy. And we look at our home form, Dad, we're undefeated at home in the league, and our defence is outstanding. So Dion, I've said this a lot as well. I wish him all the best, Dad. I think this is good for him because he comes with a bit of baggage at Blues, doesn't he? Now, just in terms of, we're not going to mention it or give it any airtime, but he had those personal things that happened last season. Didn't have a great season with all the transition of the managers. But I think Dion thrives off stability, and Eustace will give him that. All the change happening around the club last season, it just didn't really work for him. But yeah, good luck to Dion. I hope he makes it work at Blackburn. I know it's a loan; he'll be coming back. But I do wish Dion the best.
I don't think he'll be coming back.
No,
I think he'll.
Yeah, but it is a loan move on paper.
It is a loan move.
Yeah.
That's absolutely right. Loan till the end of the season. But I doubt very much we'll see Dion playing for Blues again.
Probably.
I rated him when he played for us, but he was inconsistent, lacked that bit of pace, and obviously with the quality that we brought in. And don't forget, which we'll come on to in a minute, we've also got we've got Neumann who's came in. He's coming in the summer. He's not a January transfer window signing officially because he didn't actually register with us until the summer. But we'll touch on him when we talk about the ins in a minute. So and then we've still got Clara, we've got Davis, we've got Bielek that can play there. So he's well down the pecking order. So he had to leave, really, didn't he, to get football? Okay. Yeah. So next, Matt, we'll talk about let's talk about Yokoyama. Was that surprised when you found out that he'd gone out on loan?
It was a surprise because I like Yokoyama, Dad. We've said as an impact sub, he's really good to have coming off the bench because he offers a different outlet, doesn't he? We often sometimes get stuck in the possession side of the game, whereas Yokoyama makes us a bit more direct on the wing and we go at teams a little bit more. He's proven he can score a goal, do some good assists, but clearly Chris Davies doesn't hold him in massive amounts of favour or regard because otherwise he hasn't broken into the first team, has he? So I think with his age, with his experience, a loan move can't harm him. So he's coming back to Blues as well, and I think he's going to be a big player for us in the future. I just think he needs to get a bit more experience.
Well, he went to the Belgian Pro League to a team called Genk, and I think they have a decent team as well. So he's going to play in the top league now. I think from what I've read as well, the Belgian league has got quite a lot of Japanese players in it. So obviously maybe it's an environment that'd be more comfortable for him. But I think it's a good move as well because I know a lot of Blues players said, when we needed, more sort of, forward play, bring him on. But he was great going forward. He's great at one-to-ones, but he did lose the ball a lot. So there's a lot of development, like you've mentioned, in his game. So I don't think the loan move will do him any harm, to be honest, because I'm not worried about him. But I always feel that great going forward, but I always a bit worried, like a little bit, not to the same level, like Dembele or Bakuna that we had last season. That they were great going forward or good going forward, but we often were vulnerable at the back. And I felt this guy was young, and as he develops, he needs to develop that part of his game more. Maybe he'll do that when he's like you said, man. He is alone, so he's still our player.
Absolutely.
He's still our player, and we have got the option then to, decide what to do with him next season.
Yeah.
Okay. A little bit earlier in the transfer window as well, Brandon Keeler went to our semi-final EFL trophy team of Bradford City, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
What's your thoughts on that one?
I like Keller.
Yeah.
I think he's a good player. Of course, we saw him score that screamer away at Charlton in the cup earlier in the season.
Carabao Cup,
the Carabao Cup, he scored that screamer. And we saw him in the EFL Trophy a few times, didn't we, against Warsaw and things like this. But, when you've got Cochrane, Samstead, Icelandic international, we've now got my Jay
Lee,
Jung
Jae Lee, yeah.
Mung Jae Lee. I knew I was going to muck it up. That so I just think the quality is too high and the bar's too high at the moment for him to get in. I mean, who knows what the future holds, and he might come back and become an absolute real big player, but I think the quality is too high at Birmingham and a loan move makes sense.
It makes sense. I think he's one of our best young talents,
agree.
Because what I like about him when I've seen him in the games he has played, he's already got a good frame, he's quite a strong player. Yeah, so that's Brandon Keeler. Obviously, we hope he does well at Bradford and, he's out on loan, so he's a player that could possibly will develop. And another one that is in the same ilk is Rumoured Donovan. He's gone to the Brentford B team to get a bit of experience. What's your thoughts on that?
I've always been a huge fan of Rumoured Donovan, Dad. I thought when Rooney played him last year, he was 17, I think, at the time.
Yeah.
He had that passion, that energy, England international. And I think he's got a really bright future. I think he could, because he's 18 years old, he could be one of the ones. You mentioned about Keller being one of the most exciting younger. I think Donovan as well could break into this first team in the next two or 3 years maybe. Because he's only 18. He's still really young. I think for me, Dad, with Donovan, it's his frame. He's so small. He needs to kind of get in the weight room, put a bit more weight on, because we saw him go on loan to Burton, didn't we, early in the season, and it didn't quite work out. But I don't think he suits League One because it's a physical league, isn't it? He's more of a technical-minded player. However, with that in mind, I love Donovan. I think he's one to watch for the future, and I'm glad he's on loan, getting the experience that he needs.
I do as well. I just don't get why he's gone to Brentford B. He's not going to get in the Brentford Premier League team, and I'm sure that they play good quality opposition, and maybe the club have done that to try and nurture him, to protect him a little bit, but also playing higher level clubs in the age group that he's in to give him that bit more experience. So be interesting to see how he gets on.
Yeah.
Good nippy right winger, but I think he's one of these players that needs more years, like you said, to develop his physique, his frame, and his experience. And Alfie Chang, another young lad, 22 years old, defensive midfielder. He's gone to Warsaw.
I really like Alfie Chang, Dad. Yeah. He's that kind of disruptor, isn't he? He's kind of the Iwata, the kind of breaks up play, gets stuck in. I love players like that. And he was a bit unfortunate last season, wasn't he? He had a collision or 2 seasons ago now.
I had a bad injury.
He had a collision with George Hall on the training ground and did his Achilles, I think. Yeah. It was a really bad injury, whatever it was, maybe a tendon or something serious.
George Hall and Alfie Chang, I mean, they're both obviously fairly, at their tender age, they're quite injury prone, aren't they?
Absolutely, Dad. But I like Alfie Chang. And again, I know I sound like a broken record a little bit, but I'm glad he's getting the experience he needs. Because if we're going to be honest, Dad, Paik and Iwata, as our holding midfielder. And then you've got Taylor Gardner-Hickman who can go there. You've got Bielek who can play there. You know, when you look at the quality we have, Alfie Chang isn't quite to that level. So if he can go out on loan, get some experience, and we're also doing really well in League Two. If he can get some regular game time in there, I don't know, that's nothing but a positive for me.
Yeah, and they've got to be developed because ultimately, you know, young players are the lifeblood of the club, and also they can be a potentially lucrative revenue stream as well.
Absolutely.
So putting players out on loan is not a bad idea because, like you said, they're not going to get in the first team at the moment. It's just not happening. But we need to find a way, though, if we're going to encourage young players in the future, we've got to demonstrate that we've got a route into the first team. So that's got to happen. That could be Brandon Keeler in the future. I really like him. And one final player, Matt, that's been sold, and this is a permanent deal. Is 22-year-old Josh Williams, right back. He's got to Carlisle.
Yeah, I can't even sit here and make things up, Dad. I don't know much about Josh Williams. I think at one point he was dubbed to be a pretty good player and to do some things at Birmingham. But again, with the transition as a club we've had over the last 12 to 18 months with the owners and the quality we have, he's 22, and if you're 22 and you haven't quite even had an appearance in the first team yet, you got to start asking questions, haven't you? So again, that seems like the right move for his career. And who knows, you know, an ex-Blue, I wish him nothing but the best.
Yeah, I think he had a significant injury as well, which has really, really held him back. And he hasn't played. I think he has got some first team experience.
Not loads, though.
No, big cup games and stuff like that. And, he was obviously another young player that was dubbed to, but obviously the Blues have felt that it's probably best for him and the club to move him on. He's gone to play actually the rock bottom, I think, of League Two. His new manager actually is Mark Hughes.
Yeah.
But again, young players, they need these couple of years to develop and that. So I'll watch his career with interest actually.
Yeah.
And wish him well on his travels, and hope obviously he can make it into a decent footballer.
I wish them all well, Dad. They're Blues players. A lot of them have been loaned out. In fact, even not all of them have been loaned out. And apart from Josh Williams, all loaned out. Wish Josh all the best, and also all the Blues players on loan. Go out and smash it and come back better players and more competitive for the first team.
Yeah, absolutely. So then that brings us on to the incomings, and we've brought in three permanents. But before we go on to the ones we actually bought in the January transfer window, it's also worth touching on the fact, firstly, which I think is an excellent signing, and it won't. These two signings won't be officially classified as transfers until the summer. The first one is Taylor Gardner-Hickman. We had an option to buy, which we've taken up now. But he's still officially on loan until the end of the season. That becomes a permanent deal, probably from the 1st of June, usually, something like that. I'm chuffed to bits with that one.
Same. Absolutely love Taylor Gardner-Hickman. I think a lot of Blues fans said out of all the loanees we've had, maybe Ben Davies close, but like Taylor Gardner-Hickman's the one to get in, isn't he? He's been absolutely sensational. His energy, his versatility. I mean, he's worth signing just for the amount of positions he can play and makes look comfortable, can't he? I mean, absolutely incredible. I mean, the last few games especially that he's worked his absolute socks off. I think he gets the club. He gets that fight, that spirit. The fan base love that kind of stuff at Blues, don't we? And he just gets it. Fantastic signing.
I think most Blues fans would agree with that. I think he's a player that's really wanted to make the signing, and he's done everything he possibly can. It's so clear.
He's earned it.
He has as well. The other one again is another one that will join us in the summer is Phil Neumann, and we've already done a podcast on this, Blues fans, which you want to have a look at a little bit more information about Phil Neumann. If you go down to our library, which is on our channel. You'll find it's a joint podcast because he joined round about the same time as Grant Hanley. So you'll get some stats about him and his previous clubs and all that type of thing. But looks like another fantastic signing. I mean, he's proper quality. He had a lot of teams after him.
It's like our defence is already outstanding. Now we're going to add Neumann in for hopefully a championship season next season. I mean, he just looks like a talent, and he doesn't just look confident on the ball. He ticks so many boxes in terms of aggression, aerial battles. He can put the ball in the net from set pieces. He looks like a really well-rounded centre half that's going to fit well into Chris Davis' style of football.
Yeah, and we got him from Hannover 96 in Germany. And again, if you look at the recruitment, we're recruiting from all over the world, aren't we?
We are, and also there just on Neumann, I think that's a really smart piece of business to push it back to the summer. Get him on that pre-contract and then make it official.
Yeah, I think there would have been some discussions about whether we take him in January. That would have warranted a fee, and I think that maybe they've looked at the squad, look at where we are, and thought, well,
wouldn't have been cheap either. A couple of million his value is, so it would have been a decent investment.
Yeah, so we're going to get him on a free. Obviously, it's free in terms of his fee, but obviously his salary and all the other things that go with it. Then we come on to the players that we've bought in in the January. These are the we bought in. Firstly, let's start off with Grant Hanley. Bought him in from Norwich.
Obviously, we've not seen much of him, Dad. He's had like a little cameos for 5-10 minutes in games, hasn't he? And I think, again, it's a smart piece of business. It's only until the end of the season. That's when his contract is up until. He gives us a little bit of stability in terms of squad depth. And, we are getting a bit of an influx of injuries, aren't we? Suspensions hit. We've got a big fixture list coming up. I think this is a smart piece of business. And, I think Grant Hanley he's a good player.
He is, and the thing to me, the word that comes to mind with him is experience.
Yeah.
He's a solid defender. He's a Scottish international, and he's going to be I would suggest he's going to be a squad player for a exceptionally good back line.
He has the awe of a captain, doesn't he?
Yeah. I love it when he comes on.
Yeah.
I love it when he comes on. I know he brought him on in the last couple of games, Chris Davies, and you think, you think, well, if you think you're going to score, you ain't now because he's an additional, he's experienced, isn't he? So I think we both agree that we both like him. Next, Matt, is Kieran Dowell. We've bought him on loan. From as a club we buy everybody off is Rangers attacking midfielder, and I know that you're going to say something positive because what I've seen so far has been brilliant. But what's your thoughts on him?
I mean, do you think we have a scout just permanently camped out at the Rangers training ground? Because we seem to just be nicking all their players, don't we?
I honestly don't know what the Rangers fans are looking at when they comment on the players that we've bought. Every player, Ben Davies, Scott Wright and Kieran Dowell, they've basically said they've been rubbish and can't wait to get rid of them. Yeah. Every player, every one of those three has been... I mean, Scott Wright he's probably maybe slightly less than the others, but
been injured.
Been injured, exactly. But nevertheless, he's obviously got impact. But Ben Davies, and from what Kieran Dowell's done in the first couple of games for us, I like him. He looks outstanding.
He's creative. He can pass a ball. He can pass a ball. To break the lines of the defence. He's good on the ball. He's got confidence.
Set pieces.
I think we've really missed someone in the 10 like him, especially with Williamson being injured. I think we've really felt that hit, and I think he's filled that gap brilliantly.
He just has that ability to pick out a pass or to make the right pass, and he's completely changed our corners. Mm-hmm. We always criticise corners, don't we? Saying we never make anything of corners, but now we always seem to be dangerous on corners in the last couple of...
The blokes around us, St.Andrews, they always comment and say, why aren't we dangerous from set pieces or corners? Whereas now, the past couple of games since Dowell's come in, we do look a lot more dangerous, don't we?
Yeah, so I think he's a good signing. You think he's a good signing. And I don't think he's even coming as a squad player. I think he's a first-choice player.
Agreed.
And the final signing that we've made, which is another interesting one, he's crying out for a backup or another bit of depth in the left-back position because Lee Buchanan's had that terrible injury for Alex Cochrane, is Myung Jae Lee. Yeah. We bought him from the K-League. Well, he was without a club, but he's played in the K-League in South Korea all his career. 31-year-old South Korean international.
I like the way you use the word depth there because I think that's what it gives us, isn't it? It's just a bit more competition for spaces on the left. It's a bit more depth in case one of them gets injured. And, who knows, Dad? I mean, he could end up being an absolute player, couldn't he? Well, once he gets his chance and he takes it, he could... We've not seen him yet.
No.
He could be an absolute baller. We just don't know until we get him on the pitch, really. I think we might see him in maybe EFL trophy game. I mean, we've only got Bradford left if we were to get to the final, let's say. But I think we will see him soon because Cochrane plays a lot of games, and I hope he takes his chance, Dad, because there's nothing more important for me in football than competition for spaces.
Yeah.
So I hope he gives him a run for his money, but more importantly for me, keyword depth at left back.
Yeah, I think so as well. I'm looking forward to seeing him, and if it gives Alex Cochrane that competition as well now.
Yeah. Someone biting at your ankles, it's important to have.
Yeah, just keeps him motivated. Not that we were criticising Alex Cochrane, but that's something that's absolutely fantastic.
No, competition's healthy.
So let's go back then to finish the podcast then, just to answer the question that I asked at the very beginning. Do you think now Birmingham City are stronger because of the January transfer window than we were before we went into it?
Yeah. I think we're stronger in the immediate effect and we're stronger in the future as well because we've loaned out a lot of our younger players. They're going to come back stronger. We've got some players on pre-contract agreements with Neumann ready for the summer. And we brought in some astute business from various different areas as well. So, no, I think this has been a great window. And fair enough. I come back to my earlier point, Dad. It's been slightly underwhelming. As Blues fans, we love busy business and all that stuff, but I don't think it's been needed. I think we've got a good squad. We're set up for the season. Good January window, in my opinion.
But the only area that was rumoured that would never happen was a left winger, and obviously the likes of Nathan Redmond was muted and stuff like that. But we've got Emma Hansen, who's injured and on his way back in, and we have got Keshi Anderson can play there. So overall, I think this has been a brilliant window. I think it's really just plugged those little few gaps where we need a little bit extra depth. And the key thing is it's done with experience. So we haven't brought in young players from like Premier League teams.
Exactly.
These are experienced players, and I think that's what we need. So I'm really pleased with the January transfer window.
It's interesting you say wingers, Dad, because a lot of Blues fans have said the same. We need a winger. And actually, the Newcastle game proved to me how powerful wingers can be. Because we had their number 18 on their right, and we had Willock on the other side. They were really causing us some problems. So when Blues fans say we need a winger and we played Newcastle, I was looking at the game going, that is what a winger gives you, isn't it? But anyway, whole new conversation for a whole new podcast. I am buzzing with this season, Dad. I love the squad. I think we've got a really good squad. And what I love about this team, Dad, and it kind of covers both transfer windows, we've now got a squad of players who have each other's backs.
Yeah.
They're the first ones to get stuck in when it kicks off on the pitch. They're the first to have each other's back. And I think that's just as important as winning football games, the togetherness of a squad, because you might not be at your best during a game, but you can get through games by having each other's back and being a team. So for me, big pat on the back to Chris Davies here and Gardner for the recruitment, and I think cracking season. Still, key is let's get us back to the Championship.
Yeah, absolutely. We're a proper team now. We feel like a proper club. We feel well run. The players fight for each other, and the club are, just really fighting for everything. And that's all we want as Blues fans, isn't it? In the past we've been happy to accept players that maybe haven't been the best technically if they put 100% effort in. Now we've got the best of both worlds, and it's brilliant. I think this January transfer window has been brilliant. So does Matt. But what do you think? We'd love to know what your comments are. Let us know in the comments below what you think about the players we brought in. Maybe the players have gone out either on loan or Josh Williams has gone permanently, but just let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you did like this podcast, as always, don't forget to give us a thumbs up, and if you haven't checked us out on our social media channels already, pop along to our X page and Instagram page, and if you like to watch or listen to your podcast on Spotify, you'll find us there as well, and you'll see the handles appearing on the screen for all of these right now. And of course, if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, make sure you hit that big red subscribe button so you don't miss any future podcasts that we put out. And if you want notifications, there's a little bell icon next to the subscribe button. And if you press that, you'll get a notification on your device phone every time we put a new podcast out. So that's it for this podcast. Myself and Matt will see you on the next one, all about Birmingham City.